Hey guys, Legendaray here, and welcome back to another Clash Royale video. And as 2018 begins to wrap up, I think it's time to do a State of Clash Royale video. Now, I know YouTubers such as Clash with Ash have done similar videos in the past, but no one has done a video like this anytime recently. So, I figured it's about time to get my take on this topic about how Clash Royale is doing. In addition, I'm not that much of a pro, and I'm not that much of a YouTuber either, so this is kind of coming from a perspective of a more casual player that's just pretty involved in the game. So anyways, I'm not going to be scripting this video at all. I'm basically just going to be saying exactly what comes to my mind. So aside from a couple points I've listed here that I want to go over, yeah, let's just see how this video goes. So anyways, I just want to start off giving a super quick summary of how Clash Royale's been doing this year. So if you look on Google Trends, it's actually not doing that bad. While it is kind of low compared to earlier this year, it is on a really slight trend up. So that might be a somewhat of a good sign going to 2019. But Google Trends doesn't really say that much about how well a game is doing. So first off, I want to go ahead and, appreciate the things that the Clash Royale dev team has done this year. I know a lot of the community, including me, we're really harsh on the Clash Royale dev team. Every single change they do, every single new card they release, every single challenge, every single offer, we're always telling them, hey, do this, do that, or criticizing them on, things that they could have done better. And while the dev team does need criticism, they need that feedback from the community, it's also good to appreciate that everything the team has done this year. So here I have a quick list of things I want to quickly touch over about some of the great changes that Clash Royale has made to the game this year. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So the first thing is obviously trades. Trades is one of the biggest kind of small features that Clash Royale has added to the game. Now trades are, even though they have been nerfed, it's kind of underappreciated how much trades actually benefit free-to-play players. I mean, the ability to just farm, 50 rares or 250 commons with just a single token, that is something that I wouldn't be able to imagine earlier this year. I mean, even for my Mortar Cycle deck, I would never have even dreamed of getting my log up to level 12 if not for trade tokens. These things are absolutely amazing, and I know that they did get nerfed and, they kind of are inconvenient for the clan chat now, but still, it's definitely a lot better than not having these trade tokens. Alright, next up we have tournaments. Tournaments are a feature that has kind of been lackluster for the majority of this year, but since that December update, tournaments are actually pretty cool now. They do have the customization, but the big thing I want to hit on here is global tournaments. Global tournaments are absolutely amazing. This was a great solution to revamp tournaments, and there is a Christmas one right now going on. I think it's pretty cool, but the reason I love these global tournaments so much is that they've basically brought back 1,000-player tournaments on a much bigger scale. Now, the reason why Supercell had to take down those 1,000-player tournaments was because people were able to farm those 1,000-player tournaments as a cheaper way to max out their accounts. And now that these massive tournaments can only be hosted by Supercell, this is honestly amazing. There's no way to cheat the system. The skilled players obviously get the most recognition and get the most rewards. And yeah, I know the bonus reward costs gems. Yeah, whatever. The free rewards are honestly not all that bad. Now, another big change to Clash Royale this year was the monthly balances. Now, the thing about Clash Royale is that they haven't always been doing monthly balances. I know last year they were doing balances every 2-3 months, and the meta was honestly just so stale for that duration of time. And now with the monthly balances, the dev team has a bit more of the luxury of being able to quickly tweak and more effectively address balance changes in a more timely manner. Like, for example, when the Royal Recruits were released, sure, they did have to do an emergency nerf, but since they were able to balance once a month, they were also able to more quickly address the Royal Recruits issue. And these monthly balances always keep the meta shifting as well. Like the Royal Hogs were nerfed a couple months ago. That brought the 3 Musketeer meta, that brought the Golem meta, and a Tesla buff brought back the Siege meta. It keeps the meta in a constant cycle. The OP decks get kind of shifted back, the less effective decks, you know, kind of get pushed forward again, and it just keeps the meta in a cycle that just keep things fresh for a majority of the player base. Now, another thing the dev team has done is really working at taking down the Clash Royale paywall. This is something that I've touched on in a lot of my other videos, but again, this is a really good thing for Clash Royale. As you know, Clash Royale, especially at the end of last year, Clash Royale was not a free-to-play friendly game by any stretch of the imagination, and while it's still not that free to play at the moment, it's definitely taken big strides towards that direction. With changes in the May update doubling the gold that each player gets, it makes leveling up your cards and progressing through the game just so much faster and so much more efficient. In addition, you know, with the introduction of things like challenges, there are now ways for players to grind their way up to max. Also, you know, even the smaller changes, again, such as trade tokens or changing the super magical chest to a lightning chest, things like that. All of these small changes really do add up to make for a much better free to play experience, and again, props to the Supercell team for that. Also, Clan Wars. Clan Wars was a really big feature that was introduced earlier this year, and while I do believe that they did kind of overhype the Clan Wars edition, it's still a really solid addition to the game, and it's a great way for even the casual players to get some great rewards from Clash Royale. You know, all you need to do is put in at most 10 minutes a day, and you're gonna maximize the amount of rewards that you get. In addition, you know, with Clan Wars now giving more tokens, more gold, and even gems, Clan Wars is honestly just such an integral part of the game right now that I just can't imagine Clash Royale without it. Now, another big change that Clash Royale made is to customization. This is kind of connected to the paywall kind of thing with the whole thing that I'm about to go in with cosmetics. But again, customization is a big part of so many games. A lot of successful games in the current market, their revenue system is a cosmetic system, and it's a very successful model, and I think that's something that Clash Royale should also think about adapting, and this year they have begun to do that. And of course, like I've said, that has come with the emotes. I mean, emotes are great. They might cost money, or you know, at the current moment 250 gems, but you know, that is a way for Clash Royale to earn some income in order for them to make Clash Royale more free to play, which is why I do support paid emotes or emotes that cost gems. And also, with the addition of star points, those things are actually pretty great. I know some of the skins are pretty lackluster and unoriginal, and they definitely can take skins in a whole new different direction, but they're still skins. They still keep the game fresh, and especially for those players who are starting to max out their cards and are starting to max out, you know, their ladder decks, they have something to look forward to and something to, you know, save up their star points to, you know, towards the end game of Clash Royale, which I think is also really great. And finally, the biggest Clash Royale event this year is the Clash Royale League. This was an absolutely amazing event hosted by Supercell themselves, especially with the whole, you know, mobile esports thing being relatively new and kind of being pioneered by Clash Royale essentially. Other than a few technical issues, the event went really successfully. There were so many people watching, and I mean, considering that this was the first season of the Clash Royale League, the stream peaking at 700,000 viewers at the same time, that's just completely insane. I mean, 700,000 is not a small number by any stretch of the imagination, and again, being the first season of Clash Royale League, I honestly can't wait to see what Clash Royale Esports has to offer next year. Now, while Clash Royale has done all of these great things this year, there are a couple things that, you know, they might have been leaving behind this year, and a couple of major changes that I think they should have addressed that they haven't. So, I mean, there aren't that many, but let's just quickly go over them. So the first big one that I want to address is the early game of Clash Royale. Now, I know a lot of you guys who probably watch my videos have been playing Clash Royale for a while now. You know, you're probably maybe at 4,000 trophies, around that range. But an integral part of Clash Royale that I think a lot of the community, and I think maybe even the dev team for Clash Royale has been neglecting, is the start of Clash Royale. The start of Clash Royale is honestly quite slow. I mean, for the first couple days, you know, you might be constantly unlocking new cards and moving up in the arenas, but as soon as you start pushing up to arena 4, 5, 6, and you start facing those high leveled cards, and you just and you can't seem to get the gold to upgrade your cards, to upgrade your decks, and the chest timers are starting to get really annoying. Progression is slow and honestly becomes kind of stale for the newer players. In addition, with features such as challenges and clan wars unlocking at level 8, there just isn't that much for lower level players to do. And I mean, getting to level 8, it takes a while. It's not like a 1-2 day thing, whereas in games such as Brawl Stars, you pretty much get every single feature in basically the first week of playing the game. So I think going to 2019, this is something that Clash Royale can really look into. Making the game a lot more newer player friendly can really help, keep newer players into the game. I know a lot of new players, especially my friends who are just starting to get into Clash Royale, they kind of get bored rather quickly, and that's just not good for the game in general. Now, another thing that I think Clash Royale can definitely improve on this year is the offers. The offers have, I'll be honest, kind of sucked this year, okay? Comparing them to offers last year and 2 years ago, these offers just aren't worth what they're costing. Like offers 2 or 3 years ago, they're giving you so many gems for $10, $20, and it's just a steal. I know friends that play Clash that some of them still have 2,000-3,000 gems, and those gems are still from the Christmas offers from 2016. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. However, offers this year, yeah, they're not so great, especially like the Black Friday offer. That was just an absolute disaster. The offers just weren't worth it. Stuff like that, I feel like they definitely could have done a lot better. Now, the Christmas offers, they aren't bad, but they definitely still, again, could do a lot better. By making the offers feel a lot more worth it, Clash Royale can make a lot more money off of our players. I realize that they do need to make money, so why not just give us a better deal? I'm sure a lot more players are willing to shell out a couple bucks for a deal worth 4 times its value than a deal worth 3. Now, what direction do I expect Clash Royale to start heading towards in 2019? The big thing is probably for Clash Royale to start adding more depth to its game. I know Clash Royale has a lot of depth, it has a lot of things already, but I believe what keeps players into the game and what keeps players interested, what keeps players coming back to Clash Royale are these features that, just introduce new things into the game that keep things fresh. For example, back in the day, the introduction of challenges. Challenges absolutely changed the game. They added depth to the game, they kept players invested in the game, and it really gave the game a big boost in popularity. Let's give another example. Let's say the more recent global tournaments. That added a lot of depth into the game. It might not have been a new game mode, but just the new feel of competition against every single player in the whole world. That really did give a pretty big boost to keep players interested in the game. So, what can they do in 2019? Well, instead of just adding a new card or adding a new game mode or adding some new draft or some triple elixir challenge, add something that's really new and something that we just haven't seen before. An example could be something like Heroes. Heroes would absolutely revolutionize the game. Other things they can add include maybe in-game bracketed tournaments or an in-game King of the Hill format. Just things like that are really different from anything in the game. I feel like that could keep a lot more players invested, it could keep a lot more players interested in Clash Royale, and it'd just be good for the game overall. Now, another thing that I want Clash Royale to kind of look into in 2019 is really cracking down on ladder. Now, the big problem on ladder is obviously over-leveling. Now, I think the big issue with over-leveling is actually the level stat increase between when you're upgrading cards. Right now, the statistical increase between each level is 10%. For example, say I have a level 9 mortar that does, 100 damage. Obviously, that means that a level 10 mortar would do 10% more damage or 110 damage per shot. This insane level stat increase is, I think, a big cause of the whole over-leveling issue. Now, I'm going to give an example from Brawl Stars, which is a relatively new game. I believe in between each power level of Brawler, there's only a 4% stat increase, which is definitely a lot smaller than the 10% stat increase in Clash Royale. And what makes this system a lot more effective? It means that in Brawl Stars, skill is a lot more important than your power level. Like, I know it's definitely possible in Brawl Stars to reach 500 trophies using only level 1 brawlers. In Clash Royale, that's just something that's really unheard of. I mean, imagine someone reaching, 5,000 trophies with tournament standard cards. That's just not something that can be seen in Clash Royale at all. However, in Brawl Stars, that's something that's definitely viable and something that's definitely achievable, which I think is a great system that Clash Royale should work to emulate. And again, another thing about ladder is the deck freedom. For a lot of free-to-play players, they just can't switch up decks. They can only invest in one deck, overlevel that thing up as high as they can, and try and push up on ladder. And the thing about that is they can't switch decks, and that can get kind of boring for players. So again, that's just something that, Clash Royale should continue to work on. Continue making cards more easily upgradable, making it so that, players can actually switch up decks on ladder and stuff like that. Just kind of switch up the gameplay for many of the players that are starting to become stale of the game. Now, another thing I want to touch on is new cards. Clash Royale is starting to have a lot of cards. They're beginning to approach that big 100, and I don't know if Clash Royale needs that many cards. So what I think the dev team should start doing is they should start slowing down how many cards they're releasing. Maybe 4 or 5 cards a year, and focus more on introducing solid cards. We don't want an update with 4 really lackluster cards. We want 4 cards in an entire year that are really new, really fresh, really balanced, and introduce something new to the game. Again, I just want less frequent card releases with a lot more thought given into each card. Now, another thing I want Clash Royale to definitely look into in 2019 is the customization of the game. Now, they definitely did address this again with skins and emotes and stuff like that, but just, expand more in that direction. Give us, tower skins that we can purchase with gems, or even just, custom troop skins that, we can only get for Christmas, or, custom Halloween skins, custom Easter skins, stuff like that. Just changing up the gameplay for our player base is just something that's good for Clash Royale. And last but not least, I think something that Clash Royale really can improve on in 2019 is their transparency and communication. Now, don't get me wrong, Clash Royale has greatly improved their communication with the community, but I still feel like there's a lot more they can do. Like, just to give a quick example of where they kind of failed with the whole communication aspect was the recent trade token change in the December update. I know that when they changed the trade tokens, they kind of packaged the change by saying that this change was to, stop trade sniping, when in reality, the change was actually implemented to stop players from exploiting the trade system. Actually telling us the reasons behind changes, like letting us know how matchmaking works. I know that was a big issue earlier this year, and stuff like that. Communicating with the team, hey, we're working on this, or what do you think about this, and stuff like that. I think it would greatly help the game, and if the dev team communicates with the community a lot more, the community feels like the dev team cares about them a lot more, and of course that's just good for the game overall. So there we go, guys. That's pretty much all I've got. If you guys are still watching, let me know what you guys think of this kind of video. Just me just talking in front of the mic without a script and stuff like that. Just to quickly summarize, I want this game to succeed. It definitely has a lot of potential, and it definitely isn't at the moment living up to its potential. I absolutely can't wait to see what Clash Royale has in store for us in 2019. So be sure to let me know what you guys think about, the state of Clash Royale in the comments below. I'm interested in seeing what you guys have to say, but unfortunately, guys, that's all I've got time for in today's video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like down below, as well as a subscription to my channel. And as always, this is Legendaray, and I'm signing off. See you guys next time.